Hey everyone, thanks for your support in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff coming in 2025, and here are some of the things you can look forward to as we move into next year. In the lead up to The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, we'll be starting a full series rewatch of both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett on exploring hyperspace lanes beginning in October. You can also expect a rewatch of Andor, and we will have reviews of every episode of Andor and the rest of the Skeleton Crew as those come out. Josie will be returning as we continue to rank every Star Wars thing released ever. Reviews of every episode of every Marvel Disney Plus show, including Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, The Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again, and Marvel Zombies, the day after each episode releases, will be available on Beware of Spoilers. We'll be having special event podcasts on 30-minute reviews for the Academy Awards, our 2024 year in review in early January, ranking all of Phase 5 of the MCU after Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, and our 10th anniversary special. Once we complete our rankings of all the Pokemon games on the backlog files, we'll be moving on to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Over on the YouTube channel, you can join in for playthroughs of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Pokemon White, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Sonic Adventure 2, LEGO Racers 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Want to keep on top of all the new things we have coming? Subscribe at mwpnews.com, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@mwpnews, or subscribe to Beware of Spoilers, 30-minute reviews, exploring hyperspace lanes, and the backlog files on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for your support. Good evening, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam on this, a very, chilly December evening, which, how we would typically expect it to be in December. A little snowy, a little rainy, and I think we can all learn a little something from Mufasa the Lion King, the movie that came out and is now in theaters, which is probably the nicest thing I could say about it. And that is, I don't know. I don't think there's anything to glean from this besides don't do this. I still do not understand the point of live-action remakes of animated movies. I don't. Inherently, you're taking something away from it. Number one, you're demeaning the medium of animation when you do it. No, that's the thing number one you're doing. By saying, we're going to be doing this, you're inherently saying animation's lesser than. So to make it a serious movie, what we have to do is, put real people in it. So, that's problem number one that I have with this. Problem number two that I have with this is that it never looks as good as the original. And it never will look as good as the original. Because, especially when you do stuff like this with animals, which a lot of the Disney movies do, with these anthropomorphic animals, inherently, you're taking away some of the humanity from the animals. Because they don't look real in the cartoon, in the hand-drawn cartoon, or even the CGI cartoon. They don't look real. They're not meant to look 100% photorealistic, and what ends up happening is you end up in a situation where the animals end up in an uncanny valley space just by existing, which is a shame, because then what ends up happening is it looks weird and it's disorienting. I think they did a better job handling it here than handling it in the first one, because they don't zoom in on the animals. They don't have the animals' face front and center as they're talking. They tend to use a lot of wide shots, so you don't really see the animals' mouths moving. So you can't, your mind can't put it together. In a way, it kind of is shot like a Disney nature documentary. Where, if you've never seen the Disney nature documentaries, they're not terrible. I mean, it's a documentary about animals somewhere. They have a chimpanzee one, they have a penguin one, they have tigers most recently, but either way, they do this, at least once a year. They come out with one of these documentaries, and what it is it's just a nature documentary with a lot of... It's entirely just footage of these animals doing things, with the internal monologue of the animals narrated by celebrities. And what ends up happening when you do that is you get these cute little stories of what these animals are doing in their day-to-day lives, kind of telling what they're actually doing and why they're doing it, but explaining it in a human way. And because they're not actually talking, it's kind of just narrating the inner monologue. Think, Dexter without the murders and with, there's some animal murder sometimes, but I think Dexter without, Michael C. Hall, telling you what he's thinking. It's kind of that general idea. Point is, all of this is happening in this, in this movie. And there are a few things that I really don't like about it. I don't like the decision to continually go to, the GoPro cam shot. I don't like that shot in general in movies. I especially don't like it with the tech they have here. Because, that's the thing, is that Barry Jenkins did not write this movie. Barry Jenkins just directed it. Barry Jenkins of Moonlight, Barry Jenkins of The Underground Railroad. There was one other movie he did after Moonlight that was a really big one that I don't remember off the top of my head. But either way, the point is Barry Jenkins is a great director. He knows what he's doing. And I think the issue with this is, the way the tech was kind of laid out when they did the first one with Jon Favreau, is that they're basically rendering the entire thing and running it through. And then there's a virtual camera that the director can put wherever they want to wherever they feel the story needs to be told. If they feel the camera they can move the angle around by using a virtual camera, and that's how they're capturing things. And it's a really cool idea when you put it that way. It gives the director a lot of leeway to kind of tell how they want. If you've ever played, and this is going to sound very dismissive, but if you've ever played Madden and you've done the instant replay feature, and what you can do is you can kind of just lay out, here's the camera, we want to see, we can move it anywhere on the field. It's an entire simulation like that, but think of that as rendering the entirety of Pride Rock photorealistic. It's a cool idea. And I think it does it reasonably, they do it reasonably well in these movies. I don't know why with that capability you would opt to put the camera in this GoPro style shot where it's you're watching them run, but you're staring at their face while they're running. I hate that. We've been seeing this appear more and more in movies lately, and I can't stand it when it shows up because it's just it doesn't look as good as you think it's gonna look ever, and it always just looks kind of gimmicky, and it's not. It doesn't really add anything. The composition of film is designed to be, and I sound really fucking pompous when I say that, but when you're composing a shot, theoretically everything you're trying to do should further, in some way, telling the story. Even things like the rules of cinema and the rules of cinematography all go toward furthering that story. So when you break them, you're breaking them for good reason. I've never seen that used in a way that's this is used so that way I feel like it's being done properly. And it's adding something to the story. And that really is a shame, because that's the kind of thing that, if it's done properly, it could be done well. And here, it's just so much of it's there. I hate the framing device of this movie, with Simba leaving his daughter with Timon, Pumbaa, and Rafiki, so that they could tell the story. Because I think if they just open with that and close with that, it's fine. But to continually go back to that, number one, it breaks the flow of the story. Number two, it's totally jarring, considering it's just Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen riffing every time they cut back, and it's okay, great, but it's for what this movie's trying to be, it doesn't feel organic to where they are, and it feels like they just want to bring in an excuse to bring in what's it called, those characters, because those characters are iconic. And the other thing is, too, it's again, these designs don't look good because they're meant to look realistic. They're not as cutesy. It's a real warthog is not cute, and it's just kind of, you're spending a lot of time with this real warthog, and it's just okay, whatever. And then the story itself that we're there for is just not interesting. It's one of those things where it's right. And I think a lot of it comes down to poor execution. Not poor execution of the script, just the script was was poor to begin with. Let's turn the clock back a little bit on this and see what I can remember off the top of my head about the production of this movie, because I didn't really pay close attention to the production of it, because like all of these, I'm just kind of like, all right, when the live action remake comes out, I'll go see it opening night, and then I'll never think about it again. And when I think about this, it's like I seem to recall, and I could be wrong, I seem to recall that this movie was announced without a director attached, because I feel like I would have remembered Barry Jenkins was directing this before the trailer dropped. It's like from director Barry Jenkins, and I'm like, holy fuck, they got him to do this? Like, I feel like this is one of those things that was announced as part of that stop the bleeding phone, investor call. And what I mean by that is, this was late 2020, the parks have been closed for months, the theaters have been closed for months, and those are two of Disney's massive sources of revenue, and production was shut down for a long time because of COVID. So at the end of 2020, they do this investor call where they announce a bunch of stuff all at once to be like, here's what we're going to do to kind of, right the ship. That was the announcement when we got Lightyear. That was the announcement of the Fantastic Four movie. That was the announcement of Kang the Conqueror being the bad guy in Quantumania, and the announcement of Quantumania. And I feel like Mufasa was there too. That was where they announced Mufasa. And this idea that, okay, so we have Mufasa the Lion King, and it's going to be this prequel to the Lion King as we know it, and it's kind of just like, all right, but why? Who is this for? And again, I don't know for certain, but I seem to recall it just being they're making the movie, and then it's like, we'll find creative talent to attach to it after. And the reason for that is, when you go back and look at what it was and what was going on, every title announced was designed to show value for shareholders. And coming off of 2019 going into 2020, this is also the thing where they announced that huge influx of Star Wars content on Disney Plus. I believe this is where they announced Rangers of the Old Republic and the Ahsoka show and the Lando show, and anything that they thought they could wring any value out of, and they were in the early stages of production, they were just like, boom, we're doing that, boom, we're doing that, boom, we're doing that. And okay, fine. But at the same time, when you're announcing a movie, you should really have a creative team behind it at the time of announcement. Because when it turns out, you end up with something like this. That's what you end up with. Because the issue with this is, when you announce that you're making this movie and then you find people after the fact, you're kind of trying to just hit a release date with a concept. The concept in this case is a prequel about Mufasa and what the falling out was between him and Scar that leads to the events of The Lion King. And because you montage through their childhood, and because so much time is, you could have had the movie be the same amount of time, but still cut out a good amount of, cut out a good amount of, the Timon and Pumbaa nonsense, and you would have had plenty of room to tell the story the proper way. Because the issue is, when you get to the point where he turns on Mufasa, it's very poorly handled, script-wise. Because what the issue is, we aren't here to see, it happens right after the moment where Mufasa and the girl lion, whose name I'm forgetting, it's not Nala, it's another girl lion. Nala's Simba's wife. But, at that moment, there is a split second, turn for him. And I think part of it comes from the fact that, this is not a Mufasa and Scar movie, which is what this had to be. It's a Mufasa movie. And because of that, we don't get to see Scar go through the angst required to get him to make that turn. And then we get it explained back to us later when they get to, to Pride Rock. He explains to them, oh, and this is why I'm doing this. Because you took my mother from me, you took my father from me, you took, you took her from me, you took my, my kingship away from me. What needed to happen was we needed to see this start to fester with Scar. like, and see these wounds open, and then see them not get handled. Like, okay, you took my mother because you killed the guy, like, and because the mother was like very much like, I want to, be, like, we're gonna save this lion. It's like, okay, so you took her because she's gonna be taking care of you now. And it's like, all right, there's number one. Number two, you're like, okay, so we have a, what's it called? So you took my father, and it's like, because you killed the guy defending him, like, okay, fine. But, like, we never see these issues actually come to light. And then it's like this idea of, like, Scar being in love with the Lady Lion, and then it's like, yeah, okay, he's got a thing for her. He definitely wants to bang this lion. Like, good for him. Like, but the issue is, they've known each other for a short amount of time. It doesn't feel like it's a good final straw if those other things are kind of laid out. And the other thing is too, you gotta situate, Scar far enough away that he can't hear what they're saying, because clearly Mufasa, the entire time this conversation is happening, is rejecting her advances, because she's very much like, look, I know you're the one who's been doing all these things. You've been playing the Cyrano de Bergerac to Scar. I know that, but I'm in love with you. Like, that should have been it. And then the other thing that should have happened is, when they get to Malele, or whatever the fuck it's called, which ends up being Pride Rock, when they get there, Scar should be coronated. And then Scar fucks up, and then Mufasa's the one who takes control. Or at least get there and give the opportunity for Scar to do it, and then have Mufasa step up and usurp him. Because and not for nefarious reasons, but like, look, these fuckers are coming. We gotta do that. We gotta deal with this shit. Like, that thing, like, that moment would have done a lot more, because then it's like, why does he turn on him? Like, because you took everything, including my birthright. And not for nefarious reasons, it's just you're better at this. And then that deep-seating resentment would go better with what it is. Like, I don't buy. I don't know how long it is between this and the Lion King, because again, it's lions. I don't know how long lions live. So, like, it's not, I don't think it's too much longer after this is the Lion King. But, like, come on. Like, he just sit there and fester with this and not try anything until he's got a son. Like, the easiest way to handle this would be to kill him before he has a son, so we don't have to worry about fucking lineages and all that. You can just be like, well, as long as I'm alive, you'll never be king. Well, alright. I mean, that's an easy enough thing. It's, it's silly. It's silly is what it is. And then it's like, too, the way it ends leaves it in a place where I don't feel that Scar in this movie would go and then kill Mufasa to become king. There needs to be another event after this that's like, that puts him in the, oh, fuck him, I'm gonna kill him and become king. Because, like, the level of mercy that he showed to him is like, alright, well, we're gonna let you, like, you fucked everyone here over, but we're gonna let you live here anyway. And, and it's like, he doesn't seem to want, like, he wants it because it's his birthright, but I don't think that even that's well articulated, because I don't think even, like, at this point, like, he's just like, you can live here, but that's it. You're not going to be able to do anything special. You can just kind of chill out. It's just issues like that all through this movie where I'm like, I don't really need any of that. And then, too, the character design. Because they're all real animals, nothing matters in terms of character design. So we get to the end, and it's like, he meets his mother for the first time. Or since he was a kid, because he got separated from his parents, and then he ends up back at Pride Rock, and he meets his mother again. And the mother and the wife are standing right next to each other, and I'm like, I can't tell these two apart. Like, these are two main characters of this story who are main things here. I cannot tell the two of them apart, and I feel like that's something that should be able to be done. And again, that's the problem with photorealistic animation instead of, the hand-drawn version of this. Like, I do still feel like we do need to have, like, if you're going to tell this story this way, I do still feel like you need one more little thing to kind of push Scar over the edge. I feel like he's not quite over the edge yet. The fact that he saved Mufasa, like, doesn't make sense to me if he's going to just be trying to kill him again 5-10 years later. Like, it's one of the things where, like, you saved his life. Like, you didn't have to do that. You could have let him drown in that pool. And had you let him drown in that pool, you probably would have been better off. But, like, I need a movie, like, a lead up to The Lion King, maybe just, like, a half hour long of just Mufasa just being a dick to him, maybe. Like, and it's like, yeah, we're not gonna call you by your name anymore because I can't even view you that way because you did this. And even then, it's like, I don't know. Like, the whole thing is like, if you really don't trust him that much, just fucking banish him. And I get that, like, if we keep him here, it's like it's harder for him to put together an uprising. But also, you're not really watching him while he is there. Like, it's such a bizarre way to handle this story. Like, and I feel like it's like, and again, did we really need this? Because there's no part of this origin story that gives me anything more than I already, knew about this. Like, all it did is muddy the waters, and at that point, why are we even bothering? So let's see, how would we rate this movie? This movie, I will say, is... Oh, and one more thing, the fucking music. The music's not great, and I think that's something, but that, I like, you're gonna compare it to The Lion King, which, number one, is hard to do. None of the tracks are memorable, which is just a problem with recent Disney movies, I would say, ever since Encanto. Like, we haven't had a memorable track out of one of these. Except for Scuttlebutt, which is memorable for the wrong reasons. The issue that I have with this is that before every song, they play like a musical interlude back from The Lion King of what the corresponding song is. So when they do the love song with Mufasa and the Lady Lion, like they play a little bit of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" right before they start that. When they're doing the song in the beginning with about them being brothers, it's "I Just Can't Wait to Be King." Is they play a little bit of that. When they do the song of Scar turning on Mufasa, it's a little bit of a little bit of "Be Prepared," which was not in the live action remake, unfortunately, which is probably one of my favorite villain songs in all of Disney. Like, "Be Prepared" is great. Like, it's no Hellfire, but it's up there as one of the best villain songs in Disney. But it's just dumb. So I would say 2.5 stars, because I think that there are some cool things. Anytime they're doing stuff with landscape shots, it's all really cool and really nice looking. I wouldn't recommend wasting time to go see this movie in a theater. I don't think that you can wait for it to hit Disney Plus. I don't think it's that good to warrant that. There's room for improvement, and hopefully we get more, No, I don't want more of these. Fuck that. Stop with these. Stop with the live-action remakes. We got 2 more next year. We got Moana the year after. Fuck off with this. Just stop with the live-action remakes. Oh my god. Do Muppet remakes instead. I saw someone voice that idea. Do Muppet remakes. I'd watch that in a heartbeat. But this is no. Just stop with the live-action remakes. And this isn't even live action, it's just a different form of animation. You would have been better off remaking The Lion King in Pixar style, I'm going to be completely honest. And you would have had a much better movie. Because it would have solved the production design issues. So we'll wrap up there for today. Until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.